Joining us now is the head coach of the University of Notre Dame, the Fighting Irish, coming off a 40-win season. Of course, just an institution at Notre Dame. I speak of Deanna Gumpf joining us here in the circle. Coach, how you doing?
Hi, Eric. I'm great. How are you?
Doing good. How has the fall been going? Obviously, it's implementing, getting set for the 2023 season. How would you describe the fall as so far?
Well, I think it's been really productive, but we never get as much done as we want to or try to, just because you run out of weeks. And right now, we just started our 8-hour weeks a week ago. So now we're trying to, still, I guess, keep getting better with limited amount of time, which is not as fun for me because I love to practice.
Yes, you do. So how do you manage? What's the adjustment as far as managing that time, making sure you get what you need to get done in the fall? You can't get everything done. So how do you prioritize what to get done?
Well, it started the first couple weeks of just getting used to each other, and just getting to know the team and the girls individually, and making sure that everybody's good, because even though we have so many returners, it's a new team and it feels different and it looks different. And so just a comfort level, and then we start trying to get into some team stuff, and we play games right away, so we're competing. So we're not really we're I think we're really learning about ourselves and not teaching as much in those first weeks. And now we're really going into the teaching mode, and taking time and doing a little bit less. But it's really important, this part of the year. So, getting better individually, I would say.
And then for your staff, I mean, you have a new face in the staff a little bit, so there's an adjustment from that standpoint. Just talk about your staff here with the new face, the tweaks on the staff here with the new additions.
Right. Yeah. I mean, we have a new member of our staff, Amanda Everhart. We call her Riv or Ribby. So when I refer to Riv or Ribby, you'll know who I'm talking about. It's been phenomenal. And it was really scary. We had the same staff for 17 years. And it was sad and scary, and all the crazy emotions of just losing somebody that you've depended on for so very long. But you always hope that that next person comes in and is who you hope she would be. And thankfully and luckily, Ribby's been a phenomenal, addition to our staff, and a lot of fun. And I think that she just came in, arms out, ready to go and say, let's go. And I think we all did the same thing. And it's been an awesome transition. It's been a fun transition. And, again, like I said, I was really a little intimidated and scared, but it's been so much even better than I had hoped.
Yeah, I mean that is. I mean you've had a staff for so long, like you mentioned, I mean, with Cristano, obviously, moving on, and then you got to search for a new assistant. So what was that process like for you when you were like, okay, who do I want to bring in? Because you really haven't had to do that, which is a nice luxury to have. So what was that process like? Is what we were looking for?
Well, it's so funny because everybody says I have a short list, right? Like everybody has this short list. Well, I think I had a short list for like the first 8 years. And then like your short list changes because we're together for 17 years. So you take that a little bit for granted. So I didn't have a short, I'm going to be honest, I didn't have a short list. I had a lot of good conversations with people I trusted, and I knew that at the end of the day, I needed to bring in someone who had great experience and someone who I trusted as a person. And Rivi was both of those things. She's someone who I've known for a long time. She's someone who I've trusted and who I loved talking to the game about. We would talk all the time, and, we would talk the game, and she's just a wonderful person, great, just a great human. So I knew I hit the jackpot there. And so she was the call. She was the call I made.
And perhaps bring some different ideas, some new ideas out from the outside that could maybe improve some things perhaps that you didn't think about before. That could be part of the positives too of bringing in somebody new.
It's a huge part of it, and it keeps getting better and better and better with that because I think she's getting more comfortable too. And she was a head coach for a long time, and so I think a lot of people ask her how's that transition, and we just work really well together. I'm letting her take over, the offense, and I said, run with it, go do your thing. She's coaching third base, and I'm so excited about it. It's something that I've wanted to do for quite a few years, and now I'm doing it.
What led to that? You mentioned you've wanted to do it. What was it that you trusted in Amanda to run the offense? Obviously, Chris Ganev, who got promoted to associate head coach, still on the staff. You got Mackenzie
Yeah.
Swinehart as a volunteer. Just talk about your staff and what you expect from them in their roles.
Yeah, so it's just something that I kind of just wanted to do more managing and just kind of seeing the game, back, take a step off the field and keep watching the game and lead like that. So I've been wanting to do this for a while. So letting her take over third base and run the offense is something that she's been doing for 10 years. So it's very natural. Chris has been our recruiting coordinator, and really my right hand for forever. And so she is, she's our infield coach, and she is our recruiting coordinator. And so it opens the door for me to really just spend more time with the pitchers and just kind of, like I said, take a step back and watch the entire team work together, which I wanted to do. And Kenzie is awesome. This is her second season with us, and she's the young blood. She is the connector. She is, we're helping her in the coaching aspect, and she's helping our team in so many other ways. She's just the connector, and she's just 3 years out of school, so she gets it. She gets them in a different way than we do, which is wonderful.
Last year, you win 40 games. Some think if you make a run in the ACC tournament, maybe you host in that position. You get to the Evanston Regional. When you look back at last season, what comes to your mind when you think of the last season and what pops up?
It was a really good season and a really disappointing ending. Simple. It really, we didn't play our best when we needed to at the end there. And I think it took a lot of time to kind of just away from that weekend and say, okay, where did we go wrong and what can we do better? And I think that's something that we're working really hard on from that day forward, because we don't ever want to be in that position again, because it was horrendous. It was horrible. Um, we finished our last game at midnight, and it was a really horrible finish to a really good year.
So, what's the message to the returners? With obviously not satisfied with the ending, is that like a chip on the shoulder to the returners? What's kind of been the vibe with the returners? Because I got to believe that's a sour taste in their mouth.
Without a doubt. And I think it definitely has left a sour taste in their mouth. And I think it keeps them extremely focused on what we're trying to do this fall. And we don't want to do the same thing. We know we want to mix things up a little bit, and that's the plan. Is if we want to do things exactly the same way, we shouldn't expect a different outcome. So we're doing some things a little bit different, and I like it. And I'm really proud of the way that the girls have attacked this fall so far. And I feel like we're just getting better and better and better.
Last year, offensively hit 331 as a team. Of course, Karina Gaskin's got the major of the headlines. What a breakout, a monster year for her. 428,
Yeah.
13 homers, 61 RBIs. She'll lead your offense. What makes her such a great player offensively and overall?
Karina really, I think she had a huge transition from freshman to sophomore year. And I think usually it's the opposite. Like, you kind of get more, people know you better. They start pitching you, more strategically. And I think it was just the opposite for her. I think that she changed herself in the box a little bit. So things that people got away with her freshman year, they couldn't get away with her sophomore year. And I think that was the biggest change. And it's all her. Like, she put in the work. She's the one that made the physical adjustments in the box to help her swing. And she's just maturing physically and mentally as well. And she just became a better hitter. And now it's really about like fine tuning that. And really this year's about how you handle the pressure, right? Like, how do you handle knowing that your success you had last year and let it go and let it be that wonderful, great thing that happened. Now let's just focus on what we need to do now.
Talk about the rest of your offense and some of the players you all depend on, and perhaps some of the new faces as well.
Yeah, luckily most of our offense came back with some, some of our big hitters. Leah Hanks will be at the top of the lineup somewhere. She was phenomenal, and I think she's the one who flies under the radar probably the most. She is she's such a quiet competitor, but she's really, really good. So I'm looking for her to just do her thing, change nothing, just keep doing her thing. I think Jolie Mitchell is probably in the best physical shape she's been in. She battled so many injuries in the last 3 years that to have her physically ready this year, I think she's in a much better place because honestly, when you're physically feeling so much better, your mental game gets so much better. And I think she's going to have a really big breakout year for herself. And I think Carly Kloss, we depended on her behind the plate a little bit last year, and I think this is a big year for her too because she's our girl. Like she's gonna be the one behind the plate. And I feel like she's in a really good mental place in the box. She's really been a confident hitter. So, you know, in the lineup, I think those guys are the big leaders, and obviously Jane Cronenberger too, coming off a huge freshman year. Now it's her again, like Karina, managing expectations, and allowing this to be just a fun new year for them.
I mean, that's a big luxury to have your top four hitters back in the lineup, a lot of returners as you mentioned there. That's a big luxury to have there, to have that experience back. And I mean, Kloss hit 411
Yeah,
last year. I mentioned Mitchell; she had 340 and
yeah.
5 homer, 25 RBI. So, is this the most deepest offense you've had here with not just last year and then going into this year as well?
It is definitely one of the deepest lineups we've had in a really long time. We're returning a lot of power and a lot of consistency. So, we just need to stay with that and keep improving on that. I think our offense is going to be really tough.
You get Peyton Tidd back in the circle. That was big for you to get her back. Won 15 games last year, part of a great three-headed monster in your staff there. You got Shannon Becker back. Holloway, obviously, he's done. What a great career. She had 15 and 3 last year. Talk about your pitching staff. Peyton Tidd coming back as a leader, and Becker among others.
Yeah, those two are definitely going to be leading the way for us. Peyton's experience is huge, and she's really ready to just put it all on the line. I think, what a gift for some of these girls to have the opportunity to have this extra year. And she's in a really good place. So I love her leadership on the field. I love her leadership in the circle. I love the way that she handles games. And she and Shannon have worked so closely. And she's really been a great mentor to Shannon. But I also think we're going to be relying on some freshmen. Michaela Castor had a huge senior year in high school, and she's a lot different than the other two. So I love that look. I love the fact that she talk about a competitor. Like she just wants to take a bite out of people, and I love that in the circle. And then Paige Cowley, who's more of a spinner, who is just again a different look. So I'm super excited about the pitching staff.
More arms than last year. I remember we spoke last year, like, yeah, we got 3 arms. I'm like, really? Like, yeah. But I mean, what was that like? I mean, they all three flourished, though. And I remember you said the big thing you were excited about was that Becker would get to learn from Tidd and Holloway. Have
Yeah.
you seen that from her just from going through that year? And not only having the success she had last year, but now even going into a second year where now she's going to perhaps help mentor some of the freshmen as along with Peyton.
Yeah, and Shannon, it's so cool because it worked out just how I'd hoped for her. She got, we added more pressure to her and made the games tougher for her as the season went on, and we were able to do that. And now she wants to throw in every game, and I love that she wants to throw in every game because again, like she's ready for it, and she's done a great job bringing along the freshmen.
I'm happy to hear that because that's what I enjoy is those pitchers that want the ball and want the game every game. And I've always wondered that, Coach, if that mentality has changed somewhat because obviously more teams are going by staffs and everybody understands the team. You want to support each other. But on the other hand, Yeah, you're a competitor. You want the ball, and the great ones always want the ball, don't they?
Yes, they do. And it's pretty cool because the staff, they work so well together and they take such good care of each other. But there's no secrets. They want to be the one with the ball. And it's a super cool. I love it. I love the way that they compete against each other and with each other.
Yeah, it brings out the best of them if they're competing internally. I would imagine. I would say Becker's success in part was because you're
Absolutely.
competing with two co-aces last year. I mean that has to be that's a big luxury to
Yeah.
have there.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yep. I totally agree.
Now, you and I should get a lot of credit because I remember we've spoken the last couple of years and we've talked about how the ACC should be hosting more, have more hosting opportunities than past, like the SEC in other words. Well, what happened last year? You had Florida State host, Virginia Tech's hosting, Clemson's hosting, Duke's hosting. Four hosts by, and I mentioned you were right in the cusp. I think if you make a
Yep.
run in the ACC tournament, you could add five. So
I agree.
we want a piece of the credit there. That's the first thing I want to say because we've been preaching about this for the
Yeah,
last
I
couple of
agree.
years, right? And
Yes.
finally,
And it happened. And it's going to keep happening. That's for sure.
what was it like? I mean, just seeing that the success and the strength of this league with the just the parity of the league. It's become a powerhouse conference that I think is a top three league in the sport right now.
Without a doubt. The top half of our conference, I would put them up against truly any top half of any conference. I mean, gosh darn, like it's constant that we're beating people left and right that are ranked. And yeah, we're really good. Our conference is really good. And I do believe, to your point, that people are getting it. I don't feel like I'm fighting the fight anymore. I feel like, yep, here we are, and everybody knows about us. There's no secrets anymore in the ACC. Like everybody knows that we have a really tough conference.
How much does the ACC network help in that regard? I mean, there's a lot of softball. I see your team a lot now than ever before.
Yeah,
And I think that's helped the word. I mean, Virginia Tech, they're all on TV now, more exposure, obviously across the board of the sport. But I feel like the ACC in particular and all the facilities that provide it help you
right.
get broadcast not just on linear television, but even on the stream.
Right. Well, people are buying into our sport, and athletic departments are buying into our sport, and universities are buying into our sport, and we're paying it off because people love the game, and we're getting a great market watching our game. And I'm a big believer. Once you watch one softball game, a really good competitive softball game, you're in. It's really hard not to want to keep watching, because it's fast, it's fun, it's crazy how good these girls are. You can put them up against anybody in any sport, and I think the ACC network has been a huge benefit, to all of us, to all of our sports. But I think it's TV in general. People are in, like they want to watch softball, and we've proven that.
Yeah, the numbers speak for themselves. And another example of this will be this year's ACC tournament because you get to be the host of the
I
ACC.
know.
Oh, take us through that. What's it like to host a conference tournament? What goes behind the scenes for those that may not be aware? Because we'll just see you in the week of the ACC tournament. Wow, look, and all the stuff. But there's obviously a lot of work behind the scenes. So take us through that as you get ready to host the ACC tournament this year.
Oh yeah, well, our conference liaison came to Notre Dame. Boy, that was like 6 months ago to start preparing for this tournament. So it's over a year in advance. They're preparing, with with our film crew, with our grounds crew, with our administration, and it's been it's. I mean, we're already in the process. I mean, we're what 8 months away, and we're in the process. So we're 7 months now, probably. Um, and we're going, and we're preparing. And I mean, there's so much behind the scenes. And luckily, I'm at such a wonderful place that they try to keep it out of my hands. I'm here to answer questions, but really, I'm so lucky. I'm so lucky because we have such a great staff here that takes such good care of us.
What's a couple things for those that may not be familiar with the facilities? Because what's going to be unique is like this tournament will be covered on the ACC network, ESPN. It's gonna like everybody's. It's basically a full week. People are going to see your campus and
Yes,
and your stadium.
yes.
What are some people that haven't seen it are going to learn that they might be surprised?
Oh, um, Let's see. I would say how I think everybody in the country thinks Notre Dame is humongous. Like a humongous
Right.
campus and a humongous student body. And we're really this incredible, beautiful little campus with only 8,000 undergrads. I think that blows people away who don't know us because of the name Notre Dame, because of
Sure.
our traditions. So that's number one. And number two, I think people are going to be blown away by how beautiful this place is and how peaceful and wonderful it is all the time, regardless of the weather, regardless of what's going on campus. You just find peace, and it's just such a beautiful, wonderful place to be.
One of the big factors this year will be instant replay.
Mhm.
What is the status of far as the ACC using that in the regular season? We've seen it in the postseason. What about in the regular season?
Well, we used it full time here last year.
Did you? Okay, there you
Oh
go.
yeah, we were in. So Notre Dame, we made the decision to 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 use instant replay on every home game. And it was a great learning experience. And the ACC, it wasn't mandatory. We just had to tell people ahead of time if we chose to use it. And I'll tell you, I think all but three schools used it last year.
Wow. What's the biggest thing you learned from it last year?
Um, it takes the emotion out of the call, and I love that. I love the fact, nobody when we have replay, there's no MFing anybody because you're going to get the call right. The only issues we ran into is we didn't have the right angle. Some of the schools don't have all the camera angles,
Sure.
or they have the angle, but the cameras don't move, so they're stationary and they don't have the movement. So sometimes you can miss an angle, but it is what it is. But at that point, you've done the best you can and you took it to replay. So I loved it because it took the emotion out of the call.
Is there anything you would tweak about it? If you had, if somebody came up to you, you could tweak anything about the rule. Is there anything, or you like it the way it is?
No, I think it's a great rule. I think the biggest issue is not having cameras that are manned. So they are rotating depending on where the ball is and the play is made. That's the biggest. If I could change that, I would say if we can make sure that every camera is movable and manned, and that's just a manpower thing, and I don't know if that will ever change.
Yeah, that's tough too. I mean, there's a lot of
Yeah,
stuff that goes behind that. It's too long to even get into
right.
it. Above our pay rate, but like, there's a lot of things that go behind that. But that's great. I did not realize you did it for every game. I knew
Yeah,
it was optional.
yeah.
Because in some leagues used it last year, some didn't. It was fascinating to get kind of various opinions. Because, like for example, in the Big Ten, they didn't use it in the regular
Mm-mm.
season, so they used it in the conference tournament. But because they hadn't used it all year, it was kind of forward, and there was some kind of miscommunication. But that's huge, and I think it's smart that you got to use it because you're going to have to use it in the NCAA's.
Exactly. And it was kind of cool because Northwestern came to Notre Dame last year and played, so they used it at our place. So, and she was like, she said, um, Kate said to me, "Thank you. I'm so glad that we were able to use it at your place because it was the only place we used it before NCAA's." And I was like, "Wow!" Like you take that for granted.
Yeah,
That was the only time. So it wasn't the first time for them because they used it at our place when they came to play.
yeah, no, that's the thing people don't. Right, it's kind of like some people. It's just very fascinating that some people have it, some don't, and
Yeah,
there is it takes a while to get used to it. Like you
it
do
does.
need you right. You can't, and that's really smart. Like I said, that's a pretty smart idea because once you get to the regionals, you almost forget that you have it in some cases.
Well, it's just normal, right?
Yeah.
Like we've already played a season with our girls think it's normal. They do this to me when we have it all down. We have the hand gestures.
Okay, so I knew it. So I know I've always wondered: is there some like signs where like, hey, like to challenge it? Like, because obviously
Yeah.
there's within a time frame you have to do it before you can't do it anymore. So you got your little hidden signs and everything
Oh
already.
yeah, and our players, they know, if it's not worth, we'll do a little something different. But if it's worth looking into, absolutely.
How important do you talk to your players about being honest in a situation like that? Because the initial reaction is like, no, right, but you got to be 100% sure. You don't want to waste a challenge early and then lose that
Right.
and things like that. So how much do you talk to your players about, hey, be upfront,
Well,
if it,
that's why we use hand signals.
okay. No, that's good. I'm glad
Because
to hear that. That's good to
yeah,
hear that.
yeah.
because a lot of players sometimes will challenge. No, you got to challenge, and they realize no, that was just they got emotional uh,
Right. Yeah.
over a
And
call.
I'm the same way, right? I
Right.
mean, I'm emotional about things too. That's why we need a minute, and then we're like, okay, do we need to challenge that? Yeah, we do, and we move forward with it.
Let me
So we have
ask
a
you.
minute to.
That's pretty good. No, that's awesome. I want to ask you this: like volleyball
Yeah.
and women's soccer this year, it's experimenting with seeding the tournament 32 teams. They're going to do it like 1 through 8 in regions. I've heard that softball and baseball, that's been a conversation as well, that may or may not happen down the road. I think everybody wants to see how it happens, what happens with volleyball and soccer first. That's the sense I get. From your perspective, is that something you'd like to see? You don't like to see? Because part of that would to some extent not make it so predictable where certain teams go based on the bus ride. Like a 2 seed could in theory you would truly seed the tournament to top 32. Is that something you like, you don't like? What are you, because I know a lot of people will be kind of, all eyes will be on the volleyball and soccer, see if how that goes.
Yeah, that's a great question, and I'm biased. My answer to you is so biased because of our location. I We need to be seating 32 teams because I go to the same 3 locations 9 out of 10 years, and it doesn't matter if we should be there or shouldn't be there. And it's really frustrating. And I can tell you, it's frustrating not just for me, but there's other people who are in the same boat. I would tell you that probably the Big West champs are going to go to UCLA. And there's these constant people who are always the same. The Florida teams are going to Florida, regardless of how. I mean, what if they're the 17 seed? It they should be sent to 16.
Yes. Yes.
It's not. It shouldn't be because it's convenient, and we've made the postseason so convenient, and it's not right. And I've been screaming about this for years. I hope everyone loves it, and I hope they see the value in it because it needs to continue.
Yeah, no, I think that's a big positive step. That's why I want, and I thought of you when I heard about the volleyball soccer, because you can make the case. I mean, you've been at 2 stacks regionals the last couple of years, with
Yeah,
obviously going to Evanston. You ran into a hot McNeese team, obviously, but I mean Northwestern. And then the year before, obviously, you got the Michigan, Kentucky, which I feel like those three, you're all like family, basically,
we
family
are.
get together, and every year at the regional.
Oh, we're always together. And honestly, if you look at the rankings, we shouldn't have been at either of those places.
Right.
But it is what it is, right? Like it's typical. So
Yeah.
yeah, I'm pumped. I'm so excited.
Yeah, I think this is a big step, and like I said, I think there's a chance softball. I know I've talked to the administrators in the past, in fact, some of the committee members about this, and they said that has been a conversation, and I think that's why volleyball and soccer is kind of the test, the test. And if they think it will, I could see this going with softball and baseball. I don't see the negative in it, and I just feel like the sport is so popular. It's on TV, it's easier to travel now. Like I don't see what the negatives,
Yeah.
the deal there. This ain't, you know, back in the day where you're like, okay, we got to bust teams a certain way, because now this is a revenue sport. It's
Yeah.
becoming a revenue sport.
Right. And I do. And the only negative is the financial impact it could have, but it's worth it. It's so worth it for the experience of these student athletes. They deserve it. It's worth it.
All right. Well, we've said it now. See, we got 4 teams to host in the ACC last year. Now we're gonna push this through, Coach. That's gonna be our new every year. We're
That's
just gonna
right.
push a
That's our
narrative.
job.
That's what when we have you on, we're gonna push a content, a topic, and and then when it happens, we're taking credit.
Perfect. I'm in. I love it.
Now, I do want to bring up, I'd be remiss if I didn't bring up, you mentioned Michigan and all the times you've played there against them. And obviously the big story with Coach Hutch retiring. What was your reaction when you heard the news, which came out of the blue,
Yeah.
first of all, because I was at her regional and she was emotional, but nothing came out of it. Months passed. You're like, all right, we're done. Next thing you know, here in August, oh, by the way, she just abruptly comes out with a statement. She's retiring. What was your reaction when you heard it?
I mean, other than a little sadness because I adore her, um, but I'm happy for her. And I love how she did it because she was strategic and she took care of her people. And she wasn't going to do it until she knew that she was taking care of her people. And I think that's why you got to love Hutch because that's who she is. And so I think Emotionally, I think I was just a little sad, but so proud of her, because she did it 100% the right way. She did everything she could for her staff, and she's leaving a great legacy. And what else could you ask for? She's amazing.
What are you gonna when you look back at those meetings against her and her Michigan teams and in Michigan Notre Dame? Every time it's always special when you bring up those two names in any sport, obviously, but softball in particular. You
Right.
have a lot of history there. What's the thing you're gonna what pops in your mind when you think about facing her teams now and all those years?
Oh gosh, I, I, she, she is such a competitor, and they always say your teams portray who you are as a leader. Her teams 100% portrayed who she was as a leader. Tough, competitive, and leaves it on. They've always left it on the field. And that's who she is. And that's what her teams were. I believe that they're going to continue to be that way, but that's what I think about when I think about Hutch and her teams.
Yeah, it's gonna be unique there. But Bonnie Toll takes
Yeah.
over. She knows what she's in store. She knows how everything works. So
Oh, yeah. She's ready.
we figured it out. A couple last things. January, the NCAA council is going to vote on the coaching staff. I feel like this topic has been another one that's been like floating for a while around baseball and softball in particular about making the volunteer full-time assistants, adding to the staffs. Your thoughts on that? What do you think? We'll know the answer in January, but what's your thoughts on that?
I think it's going to happen, and I think it's about time for it to happen. And I know this is hard on staffs because some of them don't even have two full assistants. But I do believe as long as we continue to grow, they will grow too. So if we get three paid assistants, I think the staffs will then get two. So they're going to keep growing. And our jobs here are to continue to grow this game and make it the best possible game it can be. And that decision helps do that. So I think if you look at the big picture, it is something we've hoped for and fought for such a long time. But I do believe it's going to happen. Yes,
I
I think it's happened.
I agree, and I think it's good too. I mean,
Yeah.
it's like I'm not going to call out other sports, but there's other sports that has a ton of staffers. I'll just leave it as that. You know what I'm talking about. I don't think it's a
I
lot
do.
to. I don't think it's a lot to ask that baseball and softball to have a little few more manpower because really, it's kind of wild when you think about the giant roster that you as a coaching staff have to handle with a small size staff. I mean, that's a
Right.
lot of people, 20, 25 young people that you're trying to follow, not including recruiting and all the stuff that a staff, and it's really a small number compared to what it probably should be. So I think this is a positive step for the players and the coaches.
I 100% agree. I can't wait.
There you go. Is there any other topics we need to hit on? I think we've nailed all the major ones, right?
No, you've done a great job. You've got all the hot topics up.
Well, you're my go-to. You're like, it's our tandem. We're making things happen. We're trying to shake it up there. I will leave. So we'll see what happens. Last year, baseball the program made it to Omaha. Link Jarrett did a great job there. Obviously, got to the World Series. I'm curious. Is that something you bring up to your players? Is that like a motivational tool, a feed off of hey, your fellow student athletes and what they're accomplishing? Is that a motivational thing that you bring up at all?
Oh, well, it's kind of in my face because my son's on the team. So
Oh boy, just stirring it
uh,
up there.
yeah,
Wow.
but you know what? Actually some of my girls went to the World Series, which was I was so excited for them to be able to see it because I want them to like this is what it's all about. Like see this, see what your classmates are having. This is what you can have. And heck yeah, I mean it's a competitive thing and we want it so bad that it's just another thing that we can say, hey, if they can do it, we can do it. Period.
All right, we got to go back to this. Wait, so you've, so it's, take me through that. Like, explain that. I did not know this. You caught me on this one. You just got me on the changeup. Congratulations, you've got me now here on this one. I did not know this. To expand on this, you can't just go bring that in there and throw that in there and just like leave it hanging there. Like, give me more of this story here.
Oh, well, my son is a junior at Notre Dame, and he plays on the baseball team. So I was able to be a mom, and actually I got to go to the World Series as well. So I got to see the men's college World Series as a mom, and it was awesome. It was really, really cool. That experience is something that he gets to have for the rest of his life. And yeah, it was pretty special. But again, and it's funny because, like I said, seeing my players there, they went and watched the guys for a couple of the games that they played, and it was good. I loved it. But yeah, it's kind of it's painful yet such a wonderful experience.
Yeah, Brady Gump, the outfielder for Notre Dame on the team there. What's that like for you to be in the stands in a moment like that? Because you have no control. I mean, are you nervous? Are you stressing out? What's that like?
No, it's sometimes I would feel for him because I just want, I want him to do well, and I want the team to do so well for him. But no, it's just enjoy it. I was lucky because I just got to take it in and enjoy it and be part of it and celebrate him and celebrate the team. And that was just fun. They deserved it. They were such a fun team to watch play.
Are you able to just be a mom and just turn off being a coach, or does the coach in you come out at times when you talk to him?
Yeah, poor guy. But it doesn't ever, it never turns off
You
completely.
can't turn it off, right? It's part of who you are.
No, it is who I am. Yeah, it's what I do, and been a part of me for so long that, yeah, I always say that poor guy. He gets to hear it from both sides. But I try to just, you know, tell him I'm proud of him, because at the end of the day, that's all you care about. I'm so proud of him, of who he is as a person. The baseball is just a bonus.
Yeah. Well, how does he respond when you give him like some coaching like deal? He's like, "Oh, mom, come on." Does he like give you that? Like, what's that like when you try to give him some coaching tips there?
He's so smart because he goes like this. He just says, "Okay, okay, okay," and he does and I'm thinking to myself, this guy's not even listening to me, but he
There you
does
go. I
the
think you
head
just.
nod. Okay.
I think that pretty much describes just about every mom son's relationship across the board. So that's normal. That's good. That is
Yeah, so he does a good job with it.
That's unbelievable. Well, thank you for sharing that. That's a great story. Congrats on that. I did not realize. I forgot about. I mean, I watched their run, obviously, but I completely
Yeah,
forgot that they were part of the story there. And it's cool that your players got to experience some of that. I think that's a cool thing. That's
yeah,
part of the student. That's part of the student athlete. Life. It's not just what you do on the field, but supporting and enjoying life in this short period of time you have in college.
oh yeah, our student athletes are so awesome with that. They do it with each other all the time. It's just so cool how they support each other.
All right, last thing. As you get ready for the season to start, before you know it, February will get here. What are the keys for this team that you feel that hey, if we do this blank, we will accomplish our goals?
I think if we are consistent in the way we play the game, we will accomplish our goals because we're pretty stinking good.
I love that. Right there. Drop the mic. I'm loving it. That's Notre Dame head coach, Coach Gump, joining us here in the Circle. Coach, always a pleasure to talk to you about many different topics. Always enjoy your candor. And like I said, people love having you on when they listen to you on the show. So always appreciate you taking the time to talk to us. You always have an open invite, and we'll definitely do this down the road. But can't wait to see your team and talk to you about your team as the season goes on.
Thank you so much, Eric. I really enjoyed talking with you too, and I really appreciate you taking the time to catch up with me.